Hi, and welcome to In Focus, a show that will be bringing you topical issues as we cover different men, different women, different youth who have made an impact in the nation and across the globe. In the program today, we have a beautiful lady, our guest today, who is going to be talking to us about media and particularly Christian media. And so I'd like to welcome to the show Rawder, Kidula.
Yay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And so I choose to allow you to introduce yourself so that you can tell us as much as you want or as little, even though I'd really prefer you tell us much about
How long
yourself.
do I have?
Maybe a minute or two.
I can do it for an hour.
Minutes,
Okay.
yes.
So yes, my name is Rawder Kidula, Kedaha. Kidula is my dad, Kedaha is my husband. I am born again. I love God with all my heart. I'm a mother of two. I have a 17-year-old.
Wow.
As we record this, she's sitting for a KCSE. Yay.
Wow.
Yeah.
May God help her to pass.
Amen. Amen. Then I have a 3-year-old. As we record this, he is somewhere on a window.
Oh my God.
He's climbing on something.
Yes, yes.
As we record this. So I am married for 6 years. I am enjoying marriage. I'm loud about marriages that are working.
Yeah.
To remind the world that marriage actually works when we
Yes.
do it God's way.
Right.
I am an author. I've written a book for a teen girl, for my beautiful teen girl. We wrote it with my sister,
Yeah.
just to inspire and disciple teen girls.
Wow.
Not to make the mistakes we made when we were
Right.
teens.
Right.
What else? Yes, I'm a content creator. My content revolves around marriage and relationships. Yeah, and I have been in the Christian media since I joined Daystar.
Okay.
In 2008.
Wow.
Christian institution. That means I was
Yes.
in Shine.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I've been in Christian media for, I want to say 11 years.
All right. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
And indeed, are you always this loud, by the way?
Am I loud?
Anyway, considering you're in media, probably that's part of the story.
Yeah,
So
my
thank you.
personality, I am actually, I am a sanguine in public. But in my house, hey, people call me. Yeah, I can
Wow.
be really quiet.
Really?
And if I were to make a choice, my ideal, peaceful, like if you want Rhoda to enjoy herself, put her on her bed with Fanta,
Wow.
with juice or soda,
Wow.
and a sermon or something I'm watching, a really nice sermon or a show.
All right.
Yes, alone.
Some music.
Not even music, a show. I love listening to conversations.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, it's interesting because that takes me to the next question.
Yeah.
When did you discover that your calling in life was geared to asking people questions?
Oh.
Because I think that's your life. Yes. Even
Nice
though today you're
question.
seated on the other side.
I know. I
Yes.
feel like asking you questions. So, when I joined campus,
Yeah.
I actually wanted to be a radio technician.
All right.
Like I really
Behind
want
the scenes.
behind the scenes
Yeah.
because where I grew up and the high school I went to, I didn't have the face for TV. Like
According to them.
according to them, even a voice. Like I never even thought myself as a person who could be in front of the camera or a microphone.
Yeah.
So there's a time I was a producer at Shine FM, that is Daystar Students Radio, and someone didn't show up to read news.
Yes.
And I was available.
All right.
So I was told, the script is there, just read. And I was like, me? I read
Yes.
news. No,
Yes.
I edit news. I produce, I do all these things. But reading,
Yeah.
no, I can't do that. So, yeah, I went on air. And everyone was like, oh, Rhoda, that was
This is
good.
good. And you shared the clips around, of course, after
Yeah,
that.
because it was Swahili. And everyone, Rhoda, you are good. So I said, if these guys are serious, because at some point I was in management, I gave myself a slot. Sunday, when I thought no one is listening. So Sundays afternoon, I would do something called Daystar Wiki Hii. So I would just collect news from Monday, what has been happening, and do Daystar Wiki Hii.
All right.
Yeah, that's how now I practiced and
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
perfected the art.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, first of all, as I was meeting you, I didn't even know because we didn't get to meet.
Yeah, in school.
In your academic, pursuit. I didn't get to meet you, but it's interesting, and that makes me think of a question that I wasn't actually planning to ask you, but it has popped up.
Yeah.
Your advice to students when they are in school. For some students, it's about just let me get this degree and move on.
Yes.
Stories are internship. I mean, stories are on campus radio. It's a waste of time. How do I benefit from this? So maybe you can say something about that.
That's the best thing that I did in school. I was everywhere. I was in Shine FM, DCF, that is CU.
Yes, yes.
And that is what built. For Shine FM, I got rid of the fear.
Yes.
And I got so much confidence in reading news, in collecting data, in knowing how a radio station works.
Yes.
So that is what built me. And now being in the CU, rooted me in Christ.
All right.
So the two merged into Christian media.
Yes,
That's why I was never comfortable. I used to go to secular stations for interviews, but
you knew your heart was not there. Oh my.
Yeah, part of me just felt like Rawder. So if you're given a show, due to play what kind of music, would even be at peace with it. So to answer your question, anyone who is in school right now and you have the facilities to work on, to practice what you want to pursue in future, please practice.
Wow.
Because even during that you can discover, no, this is not me.
Right.
Or you can rediscover yourself like I did.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, Rawder, you can actually be, you can be on the camera, or you can be, you can hold the mic and say something. Yeah.
Wow, I think you've said so many things in one sentence that will help young people particularly, because you also have a challenge of people just going to school and thinking, I want to get my degree, I want to get out there. But then we are in a world where it's about what you can do.
Yes.
What can you do?
And every interview I went to, they used to ask, apart from reading news, what else can you do? Apart from, the plus. And this plus, you grow it while in school because you have a lot of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, I want to believe some student out there is listening. Now tell me, why Christian media? Because people would say, oh, media is media. We disseminate news, we play this, we play that. But tell us, why Christian media?
For me,
not necessarily for you, but for the world particularly.
For the world needs Jesus. The world needs Jesus.
Yeah.
And we have, the media is such a powerful tool to spread the good news of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So I will start with, for me as a born-again Christian, the Great Commission is my responsibility. And I would want to use every gift, every talent, everything that I am to make sure I do my best in letting the world know about Jesus. And the world really needs Jesus because right now, the moral standards are being lowered by the media. It's actually the media, the radio stations, the TV, the movies, the music. Like the moral standards have been lowered. Like we need to infuse Jesus everywhere. So for me, I would even suggest we have more Christian stations. Of course, there are many challenges when it comes to Christian media, but for me, they always say we are 80% Christians.
Well, they used to. I don't know about
they stopped saying.
The study, I don't know what the current study says.
Yes.
But clearly, even right now, the feeling among, for the Kenyan population is that majority are Christians, Bible-believing Christians.
Yeah, and what we need to do, if Christianity is the best thing that happened to us, if Jesus is the best thing that happened to us, we would be so loud and so eager to let the world know about this Jesus.
Right.
So apart from going to church on Sunday, we would listen to Christian media, we would support Christian media, we would start Christian radio stations and channels and all that. Yes. So to me, it is very fundamental in the spiritual world.
Definitely.
Yes.
So you mentioned you're a content creator, and I've come across a lot of parents and a lot of people complaining how TV, radio or media generally has destroyed and it's having a destructive effect, which to a large extent is true.
It's true.
And so I always tell them, instead of complaining, there's something we can do. So from where you sit, what can we do as a society instead of complaining a lot about how destructive the media has become?
As a society, let me start with parents.
Yeah.
Our children do what we do.
Yeah.
I can tell my daughter, read that Bible, but if she never sees me read it,
Correct.
she will never also read, because
Yes.
why aren't you reading it?
Yeah,
You know, she's
yeah,
never
yeah.
bumped into my room and found me praying.
Right.
So why should I scold her
Right.
for not praying?
Yeah.
Many adults are on their phones. As we record, this is almost the end of the year, right?
Yes, yes.
So Christmas, families will gather and everyone will be on their phone.
Wow.
And whatever they're watching, it's TikTok videos of cats, very funny challenges, very ungodly.
Babies doing all the wonders in this world.
Very ungodly challenges. And when my son, who is 3, takes my phone and gets on TikTok, he sees what mommy sees.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no way I can be watching very ungodly challenges of people doing dancing or whatever. Then I expect when my son takes the same phone, he will now start reading or singing Sunday school
Yes.
songs.
Yes.
There is no way. So for me, I think the society can only change when grown-ups take responsibility
Right.
and do what we would like the next generation to do.
Right.
Because many times they're saying, these Gen Zs, these children, but we are their mentors. We are the ones who have failed them.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. So from a content creator's perspective,
Yeah.
what can we also do? Because the kind of cartoons that kids know, and
Oh.
sometimes I follow,
Yeah.
Jesus is nowhere.
Jesus is nowhere.
If the kind of music they listen to. So is it to say that Christian music, Christian cartoons, Christian content is so ineffective and boring that our children cannot?
We can do better. I'll keep giving the example of my 3-year-old because we are in the cartoon era. There's a time I really searched for creative, godly cartoons for my son to watch.
Yes.
It is hard.
Wow.
If you were to compare,
Yeah.
if you there's this clean one that has no ABCD, you know.
Yes, yes,
There's
yes.
no spirituality.
Yes, yes.
And then there is Christian.
It's just an intellectual challenge.
Yes. They are so creative. And then when we come now to Africa or even Kenya, it's even worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Like name one cartoon.
In Swahili, for
in
example.
Swahili
'cause
or
we're in Kenya.
Kenyanese, you know,
Yes.
the
Yes.
Sheng or our language.
Right.
Yeah, so we can do better as Christians. We can do better as a society in supporting Christian content.
All right.
I think we need to be more creative.
Yeah.
People sit down. We see movies, these big movies that are always in these theaters.
Yeah.
After the movie, there are like 100 people
Yes.
who did that.
Yes.
So for me, as a content creator, Christians need to come together.
Yeah.
It's not just Rawder doing her thing. If Rawder teams up with Anne and Henry and James,
Yes.
we can do better
Yeah.
and bigger and
Yeah.
more creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more impactful.
And we can
So-
start small.
And we can start small.
Yeah, yeah.
Even music.
Mm.
Like I remember growing up, I could name a few gospel artists.
Yes.
Right now, I am still naming the few
Yes.
and the
yes.
same ones.
And there's a whole mix again.
Yeah.
Allow me to add this, whereby you don't know whether this is church or this is the world.
Yes. If you mute a video, you don't know if it is Christian
Yes. Yes.
or secular. You don't know what they are singing. And then there is a generation, because we also need to be very intentional about reaching out. My daughter, who is 17, I love, let me give an example, Eunice Njeri. I love Don Moen. I am that old school, you know. Michael W. Smith, Evelyn
Yes.
Wanjiru.
Yeah.
My 17-year-old,
Doesn't resonate.
in
yet the
fact,
music is so
the
good.
other holiday she was telling me she doesn't know Daddy Owen. Daddy
my.
Owen, you know. I
Yes.
thought they should know
Yes,
Daddy Owen.
yes.
Daddy Owen
So
is
who does she know, if I may ask?
apparently Justin Bieber got saved and he's singing Christian songs.
That's the latest.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And there's some hip hop, they're not Kenyan. In fact, when you list Kenyan artists, most these teenagers will tell you who are those.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means the teenage, the Kenyan artists, gospel
Yes.
ministers, allow me to call them ministers because our artist has taken a different,
Oh,
you know.
yes.
So the gospel ministers should actually mentor the young people.
Yes.
Because they are very young people that are gifted, but who is looking out for them?
Yes.
Who
They
say that
should
16-year-old cannot do.
They should mentor these 20, 19-year-olds because what they're trying to do, they're trying to, is it is there a word like youngenize?
Something of the
Yeah,
sort.
something of
Yet
the sort.
you're not within
like
their
Rawder
bracket.
is above 30.
Yes.
Really, she's heading to 40.
Yeah.
But I would impact 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, people who are young in marriage, people who are looking forward to more. But I want to really impact the Gen Zs.
Yes.
So I try sing gengeton. I try be like them instead of mentoring my 17-year-old to reach her generation. Yeah.
So there should be
mentorship.
That mentorship is very important.
Yeah.
And I feel because you also have a platform for reaching out to
Yes.
teenagers, God helping you,
Yeah.
I think that is something you should really think of working on, whereby even like we have book clubs. Why don't we have
Yes.
music clubs that bring together
Yes,
young
musicians.
gospel artists to reach their generation?
Yes.
Because I noticed there is something about the age bracket.
Oh, yes.
People tend to listen to people of their age
bracket,
because they're like,
yeah.
this one understands what I'm going through.
And even inspired.
Yes.
They get inspired by people in their age bracket.
All right.
Yeah.
So after all is said and done,
Yeah.
and you've done all that you can do as a believer, particularly
Yes.
in Christian media, we have a public that's has a perception
Oh, yes.
about Christian media.
yes.
So what's your take on that perception? Maybe you can tell us, because you've worked in Christian media quite a bit.
Okay.
Yes, so but there's a perception among the public about
It's
the Christian
boring.
I like the way you're candid.
Yeah,
Straight and to the point.
It's boring. Christian media is boring. And before I got saved, when I was still in some village,
Yes.
my sister got saved before me. So me, I used to listen to secular stations, secular music.
Yes.
And then she came home, she was in KU, came home and insisted she wants to listen to Hope FM. I was 17.
Yes.
Now, I wasn't born again, and I was like, hey, like you can't take me from that rumba
Yes.
to bring at 11 a.m. someone is preaching.
Yes.
11 a.m.
Who does that?
does
I
that?
mean, I'm saying that on a light note.
Yeah, so as that teenager, I was like, oh, this is boring. It's until I matured as a Christian
Yes.
that the sermons and the worship music at 10 a.m.
Makes sense.
made sense to me.
Yes.
But now our work is to fish the lost.
Right.
That 17-year-old who thinks it's boring to
Yeah.
listen to a sermon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer your question, the world thinks Christian media is boring. Christian media has no money. That one can be true.
To some extent.
To some extent.
Yes.
Christian media, what else does the world think about us? Let me say us.
What about
We are
the
not
level of
creative.
professionalism?
Oh, we're not excellent. We are not professional. Yeah, we are mediocre. Let me
Wow.
say it. Yeah.
That is serious.
It is serious.
I mean, if someone accused you of that, it's basically to say you should be out of business.
you should be out
You
of
don't know what
business.
you're doing.
It is not just serious. It is sad that they are right to some extent.
Wow, sadly.
Sadly,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you know, you've
Sadly.
reminded me, one time I love flipping through channels when
Yeah.
I'm tired of books. So I come and say, let me give myself a break.
Yeah.
And I went to this channel and I decided to watch. And for almost an hour, this person that was on air
Yeah.
was asking people to send 100 shillings. If I
Yes.
tuned for a word of encouragement,
Yes.
it's okay to ask for support because also running a station is
It's
expensive.
expensive.
I said, I'm not so sure I'll tune back. Yeah, there's a better way
Imagine
to
you want
ask
to
also.
commit suicide.
Yeah.
Then you tune in to a Christian station where you're supposed to find encouragement,
So,
and then for an hour. Yeah.
so now you've talked about the accusations are
Yes.
no money.
No
So
money,
there's no
boring.
TV, there's no camera for a secular station and a camera for
No.
a Christian station.
No.
What can Christians do to make sure they uphold excellence in journalism and particularly Christian media?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to represent our excellent God.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you are born again, just because you're a Christian, it doesn't mean
Right.
you are mediocre. And whoever lied to us that poverty and humility are are the
Yes,
same.
yes.
They are not.
Yeah.
Like you can still even look good. You can have two cameras.
Right.
You know, you don't have to just, oh, that's a phone that I have.
Yes.
You know, it's just a Christian. No.
Right.
You even look at Christian videos, songs, music. Sometimes you look at the Excel. We've even gone for billboards.
Yes.
When you're having a crusade.
Yes.
You see 25 artists
Wow.
in Nakuru. Sorry,
Yes.
people in Nakuru, but your billboards are always funny. Like you put 100 artists in one.
Yeah.
We don't even know, big crusade, like there's no creativity. And
Yes.
then you go on Thika Road and you see Tusker. You are born again, but you feel like you're thirsty. Just because of how that billboard looks like. Because someone actually went to school, spent time, thought through, and made something that is so excellent. So I pray that Christians will uphold excellence in what they do, and they will be creative even in making money.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you just need to partner with Anne to get what you want to get.
Right.
Instead of asking for 100 bob for an hour, what else can you do?
Yes.
What I love the ministries, the churches that have thought out of the box.
Yes.
Apart from tithe and offering, let's also sell land.
Right.
Let's also open a resort.
Yes,
Let's
why
have
not?
a prayer and fasting center.
Exactly.
So that we don't overwhelm our congregation with the projects that the church needs to grow,
Right.
but instead have other sources of
Let's
income.
have a conference center. Some of the
Yes.
best retreat centers actually are run by churches.
Churches,
That's
yeah.
being creative.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think we have a long way to go in terms of creativity and diligence. And let's also be people of integrity.
Right.
Because we cannot say we are Christians, yet we run ministries and organizations where we are also corrupt, where there's also selfishness, where there is jealousy and, you know, every ungodly thing inside the church of God.
And we purport to represent God.
Yes.
Wow. May
Yeah,
God
so I
help
think
us.
it's an inside-out thing.
Yes,
We need to
yes.
work from our inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, I think there's a lot to learn, and indeed Rawder has brought it out very well on matters of Christian and media, and particularly even as it affects the young people. We'll go on a short break. You're watching In Focus on EMTV online. Our station is online, and we're going to be sharing different topical issues. When we come back from the break, we'll continue with the show. Thank you. Welcome back to In Focus. I'm your host, Anne David, and today we have our guest, Rawder Kidula, a lady who has been in Christian media, and she's told us so much in the first segment, and I believe if you've not watched it, you can tune in and watch from the beginning. And so today, Rawder, as we talk about Christian media, what would you say has been the greatest challenge for you working in Christian media? And I'll give you a bit of perspective.
Okay.
They say it's easier to be yourself in the world than in the house of God.
Oh.
You can give someone a piece of your mind if you're working with unbelievers. Now you know what I'm asking
I know
you,
what
right?
you're asking me. We'll also talk about the positive.
No worries, definitely.
Because
I'm asking about the challenge.
Yeah, the challenge. Number one, every Christian media I've worked for, because I've worked for several.
Yes.
I started, of course, the Easter station, that is a student's radio, went to Fish FM in Eldoret, Truth FM, then went to Hope FM, and now I'm running my own channel. I expected that when I get into the gates of a Christian radio station, I will be met by joy, love, peace, patience, kindness. The fruit of the Holy Spirit is all I will see.
Yes.
Like if I step on someone's toe, I forgive you. Like there is no, hey. So my expectations were too high for my fellow Christians.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge is to get there, if you're working there, and accepting that these are humans, and I'm also a human being.
Right.
And we are just coexisting. We are Christians, but we are still here on earth trying to work. So you can get to extremes where people can be very unfair to you. And now you are asking God, hey, why don't I just go and work in a secular station?
Yeah,
You know, where I hear people are speaking their minds.
Right.
People their personalities are accepted. There's no, like, they want you to win.
Yes.
You know, so my greatest challenge was my expectations were too high. I expected so much of the fruit of the Holy Spirit, only to meet the worst. And I'm like, hey, are we born again? Are we born again? I remember in one of the stations I worked when I was really new, I had arrived. It's, you know, when you listen to radio stations and you hear Anne's voice.
Yes.
And you get in love with Anne.
Right.
And you get in love with all those radio presenters. Then you get there and you feel like this is a one happy family.
Yes, yes.
And then you arrive and you discover, oh, Henry is not talking to Anne. Anne is not talking to Rawder. Rawder is not talking. And these are the people who, after Anne's show, Anne gives it over to Rawder.
Yes.
And on air, oh, Anne is like,
Yes.
oh, the next presenter is Rawder. Then, tunapitana.
Ndio hiyo sasa.
Hey. So in one of the meetings I prayed. You know, I'm just new, I am naive, I don't know, you know. And I prayed and I said, God, if there's anyone taking this ministry for granted, uproot them.
Oh my.
And
In
then,
the hearing of everybody?
Yes. And then a few months later, there was a mass
Uprooting. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, so my expectation, that. And then number 2 challenge is, the truth is, Christian media doesn't pay as much as secular.
All right.
So if you are looking for money,
Look for it elsewhere, possibly.
Yes. Or serve, you will be paid, yes, but don't expect to a breakfast show host in Christian media to be paid what the secular media is paying.
All right.
So it's still a challenge, because these are people with families, these are people with
yeah.
households, they need to provide.
Yeah.
And at times you are enticed and you're like, see, I just go and apply elsewhere and get money.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's the challenge of money.
So in other words, are you saying it's like working for Christian media is a calling? Should you go there with the heart of a servant?
Please. Oh, please. Actually, if you go there without a heart of a servant, you won't last.
That doesn't look very attractive for a young person watching and they want this life of a media personality.
Yes, it doesn't look good. With the knowledge I have now,
Yes.
if you were to take me back to 2012, let's give an example, the time when I joined Hope.
Yeah.
I joined in 2013. You can have a very big name,
Right.
but you are very broke.
Okay.
So this very big name cannot survive in the society, because the society has
Wow.
these expectations.
Yeah.
They're expecting, me when I get in this matatu, Rawder should not be sitting next to me.
Yes.
Rawder should
What
be
are
having
you
a
doing in a
Prado.
matatu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rawder's Prado should be parked somewhere.
I think you should say that very loudly, because
Yeah.
I think the public makes it impossible
Yes,
for ordinary
yeah.
citizens who just happen to be a voice
A
on
voice,
radio
yes.
to live a normal life.
So that is why you must have that heart of a servant to know exactly what you're doing there.
Right.
That will be, it will be hard for the public to dictate the kind of lifestyle you should be
You should
having.
live.
So I know who I am. I'm going to work. I need this matatu. So
Yeah.
So
yeah.
hey, hi.
Yeah.
And then the beauty of radio, people know your voice. They don't know your
Exactly.
face. So I survived a few
Oh,
years.
yeah. Until now you went public.
But now with the knowledge I have now, for this person I've just discouraged saying there's no money, what I should have done better, because there's no money, I should use that big name to look for money elsewhere. Now you are a big presenter on
wisdom.
radio. Write a book and sell it.
Yes.
You are a big presenter on radio. Start holding seminars. Start a business with the little that you have. Because of
Right.
your big name, your clothes will sell.
Yes.
Yes, especially
Right.
now in the era of social media.
Yeah.
You just need that big name with a few followers. You can decide to even sell shoes.
Yes.
They will go. But
Yeah.
if you rely on Christian media to buy you your dream house,
You might wait for a while.
yeah.
Okay.
You might
But
wait
I'm
for a
glad
while.
you're very candid with us and you're telling us the reality that working for Christian media
Yeah.
is in itself a calling.
Yes.
But it's a good platform
Yes.
to get to your end, not selfishly,
Yes.
but because God has called you, you're in the world like any other person.
Yes.
He has gifted you. So why not use your gifts to become a better person? And if you're blessed financially, you can be a blessing to other people.
To other people.
So now the agenda largely of Christian media is actually to preach Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
It is to, if we were to use the term of marketing, it
to
is to market Jesus and make him known to the people so that it can transform the lives of people.
Yeah.
So is it possible really for Christian media to compete on the same level with secular media? Because I'll tell you why. If you're going to make Jesus known, spiritually speaking, you'll be at loggerheads
Oh, yes.
with even the spiritual forces. So now speak on that aspect of, can somebody get into Christian media thinking business, thinking we're going to break even? You know, the same terms that are used in the business world. Yeah, because again, you don't want to just sit back and say, oh, then you give mediocre shows that no one is watching. So what's a place of competition for a station that is supposed
Selling
to make Jesus known?
First, this silver and gold belong to this Jesus.
Amen. I agree.
Right?
100%.
Yeah. So we
A
should
cattle
actually,
on 1,000 hills.
yeah, we should be making more.
Yeah.
I think we go back to the creativity because just because my show is about Jesus, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't have the right diction. I shouldn't. When I was at Hope FM, because I was there for the longest, there are shows I did and I felt like, oh, I'm having fun.
Wow.
I am myself.
This is it. This is what I was called to do.
This is what I was called to do. And that way, even the listeners feel me because I am myself. But if you're given a show where you're feeling like, oh, I'm struggling here, then you can't give your all.
Yes.
So we go back to, if we are in competition, there's a way I can do a show about hymns and make it so interesting, even to a 17-year-old.
Right.
So I think we just don't want to think.
Okay.
For me, if it was competing, and there are so many organizations in Kenya and SMEs run by Christians. So why should we all reach out to these big brands? And in Christian media, remember at Hope FM, there are 3 things that have money that we are not allowed to sell because we are Christians. That is liquor, alcohol, condoms, and betting. That's where the money is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is
and
where
that's
the
a
money,
no-no.
yeah, that is clear. Like you can't even start, right?
Yeah.
So why not get off your focus from those 3? Look for the owners of these resorts.
Exactly.
Look for the Christians who own schools. Look for the Christians who are selling land. So I think if we think through, we can really give the best and even compete, even while we are selling our Jesus.
That's right.
Because we need the best. Another thing is, because of this lack of finances, many Christian stations don't go for the best. They're like, oh, Rawder is good, but we can't afford Rawder.
Yeah.
Let's look for someone who has just cleared.
But I'm too cheap. Have you ever heard the statement of Kenyans nowadays?
Imagine. So they take someone without, we also need the ones without experience for them to learn.
Yes.
But when maybe you're handling a breakfast show, which is the biggest show in radio, then you're like, oh, we can get Rawder, but Rawder is asking for 200,000 and we don't have that. But there's this graduate who sent her CV we can give 20,000.
Yeah. So
this person comes to practice on your breakfast show, competing with someone in a secular station who is on air in every matatu matatu in Nairobi. Yeah. So we need to also give to receive. Right. We need to give to receive. But I believe we can compete as journalists, as media houses, even with our different goals and different content, and still compete with excellence. Yes, because there are stations I listen, there are YouTube shows I watch that are there's a Ugandan channel I watch called The Good Wife. I don't know those people, but the excellence in that show, I'll send you the link.
You're tempting me. I'll watch it.
The Good Wife.
I'll watch it.
Oh, the excellence. You just want to watch those Ugandans talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then there are Christian, even churches. They go live on Sunday and you're like, where?
I love what I'm saying.
No.
Oh, the opposite.
The opposite. The sound.
Sorry.
Oh, then you're like, hey, Guys,
I'm sorry,
you don't
I've
have to
gotten
go
the
live.
flip side.
No, the flip side is also possible.
Yes, yes.
I told you my daughter is American.
Yeah, yeah.
On Sundays she watches this Maverick City, TD Jakes, you know. They go live and you're like, is this really live or recorded?
I think that's the
it's
thing
perfect.
for the Generation
Gen
Z, yeah.
late
I
Gen
think they are
Z
so influenced by that. Yeah, yeah.
And you know what they're looking for? They're looking for creativity.
Yeah.
They're looking for acceptance. We've already told them those baggy jeans are ungodly. Va vizuri.
Yeah, yeah.
They see Maverick City dressed like them.
Yeah, yeah.
They're looking for acceptance. So that is where they find it. So as Christians, we have a long way to go in giving them that acceptance that they need, accepting them the way they are with their dreads.
Yeah, yeah.
Come, Jesus loves you just the way you
Just
are.
the way
you
you
know,
are.
like many times when we have dress codes in church, especially for women ministry. Let me not talk about our church, but you will know it's ours, where we have even a scarf. So imagine telling a 20-year-old, come for women ministry, and you have to have a long dress and a scarf. What if it was flipped? The Gen Zs were told to be in charge of your dress code in the women ministry, and they say everyone should come in ragged jeans. The women will refuse.
Of course.
So that's what is happening, even in Christian media.
Yeah.
Like, we are not reaching out to them. We are not being excellent. We are not thinking. For me, I think if we got the best, sat down and really thinking through everything, we would do very well. We'll do even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the world, Kenya is 80% Christians.
Yeah. Imagine if every one of those Christians gave a bit of their share to a station.
To a station.
It would be far.
Even their ears, just listening to radio stations.
Yeah.
And then we have very negative competition within ourselves. Instead of competing with the secular in terms of excellence, we compete within ourselves. Where I see Rawder is growing, I chop off her legs.
Yeah.
Why is she becoming big? I remember there's someone who once told me, you're not here to make your name big. I'm like, I'm just doing my best. The name is growing and it's yeah, I'm just doing my best.
Yes.
Yeah, so we discourage one another. There's a time I was talking to a presenter in Pearl Radio, and I was like, what if Pearl, Truth, Hope came together and did one annual concert?
Right. It would be powerful. Yeah, because at the end of the day, everybody goes to their own niche.
Yes, and at the end of the day, if our goal is to sell Jesus, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yes.
If that is our main goal.
Yes.
Selling Jesus.
Right.
I've been in places where you are rated according to the money you've brought and not the souls.
Wow.
No one cares about your list of souls that gave their lives to Jesus in your show.
Okay.
But they care about the mention you forgot. You did not mention this organization. Oh, there's an email. So I think we need to go back to our first love. Yeah. Go back to our vision. Why are we here? To know God and make him known, right?
Yeah.
To preach Jesus.
Yeah.
How can we preach Jesus to the women in Kikuyu?
Yeah.
How can we preach Jesus to the Gen Zs in the CBD?
Yes.
How can we, if we go back there and we really think and we do it as unto the Lord,
then we will move to the next level.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. And I don't think, I know people talk about Christian media, but personally, I've not heard someone bring it out maybe as well as you have. Maybe even I've not had an opportunity to talk to them, but I like the way you're bringing it out and just speaking the truth, because I think many times Christians like to hide the proverbial ostrich and pretend all is well.
Yes.
So could you please tell us a little bit about your shift?
Yeah.
One day you are hoping and praying and trusting God. God, I wish I can work in the station.
Oh, yeah.
And then God opened the door. You had your time there.
Yes.
And then you decided, you know, it's time to pack my bags. So what led to this shift?
God said, time is up, my season. Oh, people just say season, season, season.
But seasons do come.
Yeah,
to
seasons
an
come
end.
and go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seasons come and go. So for me, I really enjoyed it. Yes, I had actually really prayed.
Yeah.
Because I told you, when my sister introduced me to radio,
Right.
that is the radio station I started knowing, started
Yeah.
admiring those presenters. I'd never even been inside a radio station, but I just loved what they were doing. At the back of my mind, I was like, God, I think I can also do that. But I shun it away because I'm like, oh, how
Where do
can
I
a girl
start?
in the village
Yes.
even get there?
Yeah.
So I get there, and I really, really enjoyed my season. That one, actually, it's that season that made me who I am today and gave me the experience I have today, so I don't take it for granted. But then family came. So I got married, and then my husband went out of the country, and I needed to be visiting for a few years.
Yeah.
So there's no employer who can allow you to be out 6 months, back 6 months. So that's the main reason why I just had to say, hey, I don't want to cheat you guys.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the main reason why I left.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think that's a very plain one, considering rarely does one leave an organization that's stable without a good reason.
Oh, yeah.
So now after the shift,
Yes.
now you got the desire, or the desire had been dormant somewhere,
Yes.
and now you got the perfect timing to begin your show.
Yes.
So why did you particularly narrow down to
Marriage.
Yes.
Oh, number one, I was newly married. By the time I'm going back to work, it was a week. I did my wedding, and a week later I was back to work.
Wow.
Why? Because my husband had to fly a week later. So I get back to work, and everyone is like, oh, how is marriage? I'm like, I don't know.
1 week.
I don't know.
You didn't take a leave like 3 weeks or something?
No, I didn't want to, because I would feel like, oh, now I'm alone,
bored,
bored.
Yeah.
So the guy left the country after marrying me. So everyone is asking me, how is marriage? Oh, Mrs. Kedah. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know. Because even this 1 week he was around, we were busy going to Kitale.
All over the place.
Yeah, saying bye to parents and all that.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me get people who are married to tell these people how marriage is.
Okay.
So that is how it started.
Okay.
And also, when now we were thinking of, hey, you can't be fully employed with this long distance marriage. One of us has to be flexible, and it is you.
Yes, yes.
So I started it to also be busy.
Yeah.
Busy listening to people and doing things that are positive and pro-marriage.
Okay.
Because if I took time to listen to people who talk about, oh, I married the devil, marriage is a scam, oh, everyone cheats, they say kugongewa ni a must. If I took time and spent my time listening to people who are anti-marriage, oh, I wouldn't be married right now.
I know.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I think it gave me so much encouragement listening to people, how are they doing it? And that's how we started. I started with 50 years of marriage, where I interviewed women only, married from 1 year, I went to 2 years, 3 years, up to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, I interviewed 50 women.
Oh my goodness.
So when I'm in the country, I got so busy.
Women who are 50 years old, or women
No,
who've been...
married for 50 years.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, I
That was
started with
quite a
one,
tall
married
order.
for 1 year, then 2 years, 3 years. I went up to, and they are available, they are there.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So that's how I started. Of course, I've learned a lot through the years. When I got to 50 now, I started the Rawder Kidula show, where I now host couples, because people were like, we want the other side of the story.
Yes.
Where are the
yes,
men?
Yeah.
And most men don't speak alone. So I bring them together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, they prefer to have
Yes.
almost like a fallback.
Beside them. So content creation also in the still Christian media
Yeah.
is also hard for Christians.
Yeah.
If I titled my shows "Marriage is a Scam," I would get views.
Imagine a lot of
a
them.
lot of them. But if
And supporters, eh?
and supporters. But if I'm like, oh, our marriage was restored after infidelity, our marriage is thriving. Even the same Christians who told you start the YouTube channel,
Yes.
you beg them to subscribe.
Yes, I know.
So you are like, hey, guys, if in this church we are 1,000 people,
Right.
and I have 500 subscribers, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I have 20 views on a show that I spent over 20,000 to
Yes.
produce.
Yes.
So I think Christians should also support their fellow Christians.
Yeah.
If you feel Rawder's show needs improvement, give them developmental feedback.
Right,
Give Rawder developmental feedback. Tell her, Rawder, it could be better if you did A, B, C, D.
Yes.
Rawder, I would like to partner with you in A, B, C, D. Because the same Christians are the ones watching shows where marriage is being
tarnished.
Tarnished. The name of the marriage is being tarnished. And you find them there, and they even share voluntarily. They're like, guys, have you watched this one? This one killed the husband.
Okay.
They share on their status everywhere, but when you have good news,
nobody wants to listen to you.
Nobody wants to listen.
Yeah, I mean, when it bleeds, according to the saying in
you
media.
taught us that in school.
So tell me, after interviewing all these women, 1 year to 50 years, there must be one or two things that stood out for you that helped you say, as a married woman, this is a no-no for me. This is a little bit outside the topic, but I mean, as a married woman,
that stood out
of your, you know, collection of 50 women, and they talked about their journey of marriage, one or two lessons you picked as a person that you said, this is something I've learned, I wouldn't want it to happen, or a takeaway for me. A takeaway
from me was, still is, whatever you keep secret from your spouse is what is going to destroy your marriage. Especially these secret mshwari accounts, secret, they hide, especially in finances. You know, I grew up being told a woman must have some secret money. Right. Because you never know. Yes. But whatever I keep secret from my husband will be the cause of all conflicts. Insecurity, and will eventually break my marriage. So especially in finances, I've learned, be open and be your husband's friend. And then this, what is it called? Women empowerment.
Yes,
oh, I have my money. All these wives are submissive. Yes. Especially when I got to 40, 30 years in marriage to 50. They're not even blinking about it. My husband is my king. Wow. Like they treat them as, you know. What about the one told me I should be waking up at 5 to cook chapatis for I'm like, hey, I'm submissive by that one. It's a tall order, especially when you're a working woman. For them, in fact, you get to a place, now these younger ones were asking, isn't that slavery? But these ones were saying, if you call it slavery, it's okay, but we enjoy it. Wow. That is what gives us joy. That is serving my husband is what works for me. So why should it bother you? Okay. So being submissive cuts across. The moment I start being big-headed and wanting to head my family, my marriage won't work. It can be the end of the beginning. Yes. Wow. So as we bring this to a close, I'd like to ask, what do you think is the future of Christian media, not just in Kenya, but regionally in Africa and beyond? For me, from where I sit, I see a lot of potential and a lot of hope in Christian media, especially because we are allowing young people to come and take over. I walk to some of these media houses and I see Gen Zs in charge of production, social media and all that, and they're doing a great job in reaching out to their generation especially, which is online. Gen Zs, millennials, so many, actually even Gen X. People, my mom is online, right? So for us to reach them online, we need to allow them to take up spaces online, encourage them to start the podcast, to start their YouTube channels, to start their radio stations, whatever they want to do in the media to reach out. We should encourage and support them to do that. And also for us, for the media houses and the owners, we should be excellent. Christian media, it's time for us to, what is the word? To change the perspective that people have on us. We need to get out there, be creative, be excellent, be diligent, pay people well. Because we look for other ways of making money. We look for other ways of making money in a good way. And for the society at large, we need to support Christian media. We need to watch Christian channels. We need to give them developmental feedback, encourage them to do better, comment on their channels and all that, their content and all that. But from where I sit, there's a lot of potential. There are people coming up every day to start new things in the Christian world. So all we need to do is just to support them and encourage them. All right.
Thank you so much. Jesus told his disciples that go ye into all the world and preach the good news of the kingdom. And then, of course, after all is said and done, the gospel shall be preached to all nations, and then the end shall come. I believe media is one of the greatest tools to preach the gospel in nations where you're not even allowed to go through with the Bible. You're not allowed to have any Christian literature. The internet is unhindered, and nobody can stop the spread of the gospel, particularly through the airwaves. And so this is a message to the Christian broadcasters, to the people working in Christian media. Give it your best, as our guest has told us. Give us your very best. Give the world your very best. And who knows, some people are just looking for that excellence and say there's something about these people that we can pick. And so from me and David, I want to say it's been nice being with you on In Focus. Until we meet next time, this is EMTV, and may God bless you.